It was horrible. There was no programs for the veterans from the Vietnam War. When I came back from Vietnam, I spent 3 days and 2 nights in a winter uniform in Okinawa waiting to get on a plane.
Yeah.
And everybody else was getting on the plane except me and the guys that I was with. So that we were sweating in the sun for 3 days and 2 nights before we ever got to LA. Then we get to LA and we went and got our tickets. Here's a bunch of guys right out of the war. 3 days earlier, we were walking around with machine guns and rifles and grenades and bazookas and all kinds of weapons. And now you're in a uniform and you're back in the civilian world. And I got to LA, we got our tickets. Well, then we all went to different gates because we're all going different places, right?
That must be so strange.
Yeah. Well, what happened to me?
A world where there's there's rules, but you are fighting for your life. And then you're coming back to structured society, boarding a plane. Yeah. That must be tough to transfer over to other people in terms of understanding.
Yeah. So I have a standby ticket. I walk to my gate and there's a long line. And I don't know. I just lost the cat. I walked to the front of the line, threw my duffel bag on the ground, put the ticket on the counter, and looked at the lady and said, "I'm getting on this plane."
Mm-hmm.
I was done. I just wanted to get home.
Yeah.
And big guy in the line, probably 6 foot. I'm 5'8". I'm 110 pounds.
Yeah.
I've gone from 148 pounds of, best shape I was ever in my life. I'm basically like, I'm like a Viet Cong. I look like a Viet Cong. I'm brown on my face and my hands.
Yeah.
And I'm skinny as hell and, malnourished and exhausted. And this big 6'4", 250 pound, look like a linebacker for UCLA or some darn thing, comes up and starts poking me in the chest, telling me to get the back of the line. And then he made a big mistake. He pushed me hard.
Yeah.
And I stumbled backwards. I stumbled backwards and I grabbed a stanchion. There's a line of stanchions with a rope through it to guide you through, right?
Yeah.
And I grabbed the one on the end, pulled the rope out, and I grabbed it like a baseball. I'm going to kill this son of a gun, right?
Yeah.
And the next thing I know, I'm surrounded by stewardesses. The guy's in handcuffs. Police are leading him away. And then they put me on the plane. I'm the first one on the plane in first class. And then the pilot, who's probably 45, comes and sits down and starts talking to me. And it turns out he is a retired Marine Corps aviator.
Mm-hmm. And understands exactly what just happened. Like most of the ladies and gentlemen in the United States today who thank you for your service by allowing you on the flights pre-booked early for that exact situation to not happen, because nobody can understand what it means to go from that situation to this one. You used to have a rifle in that bag and you didn't have one there. And that's something that gentleman did not know because he's on his way to a business meeting or seeing friends. Different rules apply. So once again, thank you for your service. And that is a story that nobody should be shocked by. And that is one of the areas where I hope, and that's why I asked, how do you feel treated by society? I hope that we have gotten much better with understanding that.
Yeah, it took decades. When we, after that, when we were stateside, if we were going off base, we had to be in uniform. And we would go right to the nearest gas station and go in the restroom, get out of our uniforms, put our civvies on, go home, drive back in civvies, go to that gas station, go in the restroom, put our uniforms back on. We're 100 feet from the gate and go back on the base. Mm-hmm. You didn't dare, in my time, you didn't dare walk around in your uniform. You were just going to get in trouble.
Yeah.
So it was a really bad time. And there was no programs for us. We all were traumatized in one way or another. And we all paid for it later on. I did with nightmares. And then the drinking took off because that kind of helped me, medicate.
Yeah.
So I went through all that.
Because you mentioned you are since on a very positive note, you're recovering alcoholic, and that has been successful.
Yes. Yeah, it took a while. Yeah. I was determined to be successful. I mean, I liked being a lawyer. I liked helping people. I liked getting paid to help people.
That's always fantastic. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's nothing about you that doesn't strike me as driven, and it's inspiring. And even taking on the opportunities. Look, you top in the class, uh, coming out of war, and look at how I find it so inspiring how you use that opportunity of serving, and you really built a huge and successful career out of this opportunity. And that takes drive, I think, because I don't think everybody could follow that and really take that opportunity. It's a really positive story.